So in our last segment, we looked at our first chord, which is an E major chord. We talked about how to have the fingers and then listening for potential problems as we play the chord one note at a time. Let's talk about what those potential problems are and how we can solve them. One problem, if we're having a buzzing note or a dead note, can be not pressing down with the tip of the finger. So if we're getting a bad note, let's say the 6th string on this chord is ringing just fine and I get to the 5th string, it can be that I'm not pressing it down with the tip of my finger, or it can be that I'm too far back on the fret, and just sliding that forward will fix that. So those are things that you can usually fix fairly quickly, but getting a long-term solution to it can mean building up some muscle memory by trying it over and over, putting the chord down, making sure that each finger and string is sounding good. Let's say that you're playing through the chord and you get a dead string that's an open string. It's not supposed to have any fingers on it, period. In this case, my 2nd string isn't ringing. The problem here is that my 1st finger is leaning back too far, and so it's deadening this open 2nd string. So what I need to do is arch my fingers a little bit more, maybe bring my thumb back behind a little bit, so that I can allow that 2nd string to ring open. So that was just a matter of straightening up my fingers so that they came down in more of an arched fashion. So those are the basic 2 problems that you can run into. So we've looked at an E major. We're strumming all 6 strings for that. The next chord let's take a look at is a G major chord. There's several different ways you'll see people finger this, and a lot of times chords can have what's called different voicings, and that's where you can use multiple fingerings for the same chord. So we'll look at the most common fingering of this G chord to start off with. For this one, we'll have the 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, the 2nd finger reaching over to the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Now I'm having to reach all the way across the neck for this, so notice that my thumb is back behind here to enable me to reach. If I'm up here, it's very difficult to get these guys all the way over there. So I've got these 2 fingers, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. The 3rd finger is going to curl back behind and hit the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Then the 4th finger is going to hit the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Notice that all these fingers are on the tips and nice and arched. And this chord will also be strumming all 6 strings. And we just want to make sure as we pick through that note by note that each string, including the 2 open strings in the middle, are ringing clearly. So we'll look at the rest of our fingerings in our next segment.
G chord, C chord, A minor, and D chord make up the song. I can leave my 1st and 2nd finger in place. My ring finger slides into the 2nd fret of the 3rd string.